The price of deception, a silent vengeance. Attention, viewers. Before we dive into this chilling tale, I ask you to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single twist in this story. What would you do if you had it all? A perfect marriage, a loving husband, a beautiful home, and a baby on the way. Now, what would you do if in a single, gut-wrenching moment you discovered it was all built on a foundation of lies? For Amelia Rose, the answer was not to scream, to cry, or even to leave. Her reaction was something far more terrifying. She found the woman sleeping with her husband, and she gave her a job. This isn't a story of forgiveness. It's a story of control, of a woman pushed to the edge who chose to rewrite her own tragedy, one calculated, devastating move at a time. Part 1. The perfect facade. The life Amelia Rose had meticulously built was a masterpiece of modern success. At 30 years old, she was the founder and CEO of Aurora Marketing, a boutique agency in the heart of London that had become the go-to for luxury brands seeking an edge. Her office, a symphony of glass, chrome, and soft gray furnishings, commanded a sweeping view of the vast metropolis, a daily reminder of the heights she had climbed. Her penthouse, a sprawling loft in a trendy industrial district, was her sanctuary. It smelled of jasmine candles, fresh brewed espresso, and the faint, sweet scent of the expensive prenatal lotions Amelia massaged into her growing 7-month pregnant belly. Her husband, Mark Hughes, was the perfect final touch to this portrait of domestic bliss. Handsome, with a charming smile and the relaxed confidence of a man who worked in high finance, he was her rock. They had met in college, a whirlwind romance that had settled into a deep, comfortable love. He was the calm to her storm, the steady hand on her back at industry events, the man who would listen for hours as she strategized campaign ideas on their living room floor. He was, she believed, her soulmate, the father of her unborn child. The first crack in this porcelain existence appeared on a Tuesday. It was late, past midnight. Amelia had woken with a start to a familiar and now welcome flutter. The baby kicking. She smiled, rubbing her belly, and looked at Mark. He was fast asleep, his chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. His phone, which was usually on his nightstand, lay on the floor, having slipped from his hand. As she leaned over to pick it up, the screen lit up, a notification from an app she didn't recognize, a stylized flame icon. The message preview was short, but it was enough to stop the air in her lungs. "Chloe, still awake? Can't stop thinking about last night. Your skin against mine." Amelia's blood ran cold. It was a physical sensation, a painful frigidness that started in her chest and spread to the tips of her fingers. She stared at the screen, her mind refusing to process the words. Chloe. The name was a foreign object, a piece of shrapnel embedded in the soft fabric of her life. Last night Mark had come home late, a last-minute dinner with a client. He had said. He had come home smelling of expensive scotch and a faint floral perfume that wasn't hers. At the time, she hadn't thought twice. She trusted him. Her first instinct was a wave of raw, primitive rage. She wanted to wake him, shove the phone in his face, and watch his perfect features crumble into a mask of guilt. She wanted to scream, to shatter the quiet peace of their home, to let out the animal cry that clawed at her throat. But then a different instinct took over. It was the CEO in her, the strategist, who never made a move without first understanding the entire board. Screaming would give him the advantage. He would deny, deflect, manipulate her, call her hormonal, accuse her of being paranoid because of the pregnancy. He would seize control of the narrative. No, she would not give him that. With hands that shook almost uncontrollably, she picked up the phone. His thumbprint, inert in his sleep, was all it needed. She pressed it against the home button. The phone unlocked. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic, frightened bird. The app was a dating app, one known for discreet hookups. His message history was a novel of betrayal. Weeks of it. Months. "I've never felt this way about anyone," Mark had written. "When are you going to tell her?" Chloe had asked just 3 days ago. "Soon, babe. I promise. It has to be handled delicately. She's pregnant." The word delicately was a particular cruelty. He was handling the destruction of their marriage with the same detached care he would give a sensitive stock portfolio. And the use of her pregnancy, of their child, as a shield, as an excuse for his cowardice. That was the deepest cut of all. Amelia didn't sleep. She sat in the dark living room, the city lights a blur through her unshed tears. The rage was still there, a seething cauldron in her gut, but now it was joined by a chilling, crystal-clear clarity. Divorce was inevitable. Her life, as she knew it, was over. But it wouldn't end like this. She wouldn't be the tearful, broken victim in this drama. She was Amelia Rose. She built brands from nothing. Surely she could orchestrate a demolition. She needed to know her enemy. The next morning she operated on pure adrenaline. She feigned a headache, letting Mark fuss over her before he left for work, his kiss on her forehead feeling like a liar's brand. The moment the door closed behind him, she was on her laptop. Chloe. The dating app profile was sparse, but it had a last name. Fuentes. A quick social media search led her to an Instagram profile. Chloe Fuentes, 26 years old, pretty with an approachable, girl-next-door freshness. Her feed was filled with artsy photos of brunches, cityscapes, and selfies that radiated a hungry ambition. Her bio read, "Graphic designer, dreamer, making beautiful things." Amelia felt a fresh wave of nausea. Making beautiful things. She was trying to make something beautiful out of the wreckage of Amelia's life. With a few more clicks, Amelia found her professional online portfolio and then her LinkedIn profile. Chloe Fuentes was a freelance graphic designer, a talented one at that. Her aesthetic was clean, modern, and perfectly aligned with the kind of clients Aurora represented. And that's when the idea began to form. It was a monstrous, terrifying, and utterly brilliant thought. It started as a whisper in the back of her mind, a flash of vengeance so audacious it almost made her laugh. What if she didn't just watch Chloe from a distance? What if she brought her closer? What if she made this woman who was secretly trying to dismantle her life directly dependent on her for a paycheck? The plan was insane. Her best friend Amelia would have her committed. But the more she thought about it, the more it felt right. It was a move no one would see coming. It was a way to reclaim her power, not by ending the game, but by changing the rules so completely that she was the only one who knew how to play. She would learn every one of Chloe's weaknesses, her fears, her ambitions. She would see with her own eyes what Mark saw in her, and she would do it all from the ultimate position of power, as her boss. Her agency for Aurora just so happened to have an opening for a mid-level graphic designer. The ad had just gone out last week. Amelia's fingers flew across the keyboard. She opened her work email, her expression hardening into a mask of pure, steely resolve. She found the generic HR email address listed on Chloe Fuentes' professional website. Subject: Graphic Design. Opportunity at Aurora. Dear Ms. Fuentes, my name is Amelia Rose, CEO of Aurora Marketing. I came across your online portfolio, and I was exceptionally impressed with the quality and creativity of your work. Your aesthetic aligns perfectly with the direction we are taking with several of our key luxury accounts. We currently have an opening for a senior graphic designer, a position I believe would be an excellent fit for your talents. If you are interested in exploring this opportunity, I would like to invite you to our offices for an interview at your convenience. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Amelia Rose. She hit send before she could doubt herself. The email launched into the digital void, a declaration of war disguised as a job offer. She leaned back in her chair, a hand resting protectively over her stomach. The baby kicked again, a tiny internal flutter. "Don't you worry, little one," she whispered to the empty room. "Mommy's got this." The war had begun, and Amelia Rose was about to bring her enemy right through the front doors. Part 2. The Silent Predator. 2 days later, Chloe Fuentes walked into the sleek, intimidatingly serene reception area of Aurora Marketing. She clutched a leather portfolio to her chest, her chosen outfit, a chic but professional black jumpsuit, radiating a carefully constructed confidence. She was nervous, but it was the excited nervousness of a young professional on the brink of a major career breakthrough. Aurora was the big leagues. A job here, working directly under the legendary Amelia Rose, was the stuff career dreams were made of. She had been ecstatic when she got the email. Amelia Rose herself had reached out. Chloe had told Mark about it during a clandestine lunch, her voice vibrating with excitement. She said she was exceptionally impressed with my work. Can you believe it? Mark had frozen for a second, a forkful of pasta halfway to his mouth. Amelia Rose from Aurora? Wow, Chloe. That's incredible. He felt a pang of unease, a strange convergence of his two separate lives that felt dangerous, but he quickly dismissed it. It was a coincidence, an odd, unsettling one. But nothing more. He couldn't tell Chloe that his wife was the CEO who wanted to hire her. The lie was too deep, the deception too entangled. So he simply said, "Wow, Chloe, that's incredible. You deserve it." Standing in the heart of Amelia's empire, Chloe had no idea she was a pawn in a game she didn't even know was being played. The receptionist led her down a long hallway to a corner office with a floor-to-ceiling glass wall that offered a breathtaking panoramic view of the city. And there she was, Amelia Rose. She was even more formidable in person. Even heavily pregnant, she commanded the space. She wore an impeccably tailored, cream-colored maternity dress that seemed to cost more than Chloe's rent. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe, elegant bun, and her expression was one of cool, unreadable authority. She didn't stand. She simply gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Ms. Fuentes, thank you for coming in. I'm Amelia Rose. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Rose," Chloe said, her voice a little more breathless than she would have liked. She noticed the wedding ring, a formidable diamond that seemed to trap and refract the light with an accusatory gleam. "Please have a seat," Amelia said, her voice as smooth as silk, but with an undertone of steel. She didn't smile. The interview began with standard questions. Amelia asked about Chloe's design philosophy, her experience with specific software, and her previous freelance projects. Chloe, gaining confidence, answered fluently, opening her portfolio to show her best work. She was good. Amelia had to concede that. It made it all the more infuriating. Then, Amelia's questions began to shift. The change was subtle, a scalpel sliding between the ribs. "Tell me about your long-term goals, Chloe. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Amelia asked, leaning forward slightly, her hands clasped over her belly. The subtext screamed in her own mind. "Do you see yourself in my house raising my child?" "I want to be a creative director," Chloe answered truthfully. "I want to lead a team, to shape a brand's entire identity. I'm very ambitious." "Ambition is good," Amelia said, her gaze unblinking. but it can make people reckless. How do you handle high-pressure situations? Say, when you're dealing with a difficult client, or when the professional and personal lines blur. Chloe felt a flicker of unease at the phrase. I believe in maintaining professionalism at all times, she said carefully. Clear communication and managing expectations are key. You have to keep things separate. Oh, do you? Amelia thought, a silent, bitter laugh echoing in her head. Like keeping your affair with a married man separate from his pregnant wife. An excellent answer, Amelia said aloud, her face a perfect mask of corporate approval. She turned a page on Chloe's resume, though she wasn't reading it. She had already memorized every word. It says here, you value dedication and building lasting relationships. How do you define loyalty in a professional context, Chloe? The question hung in the air, sharp and heavy. Chloe shifted in her seat. Loyalty is commitment. It's about seeing a project through, being trustworthy, and having the company's best interests at heart. It's about honoring the faith someone puts in you. Every word was a new stab at Amelia's heart. This woman could sit in her office and talk about loyalty while actively trying to steal her husband. The audacity was breathtaking. Amelia felt the rage stir, but she channeled it into an icy calm. This wasn't about losing control. This was about... I see, Amelia said slowly, her eyes locked on Chloe's. And what about when a situation becomes untenable? When you find yourself in an ethically compromised position, do you walk away? Or do you see it through to the end, hoping for a different outcome? Chloe's professional smile wavered. The questions were becoming oddly personal, intensely philosophical for a design job interview. She thought of Mark, of the promises he had made her, of the stolen nights, and the guilt that sometimes gnawed at her. I believe in fighting for what you want, Chloe said, her voice hardening slightly, a flash of the defiance Amelia had seen in her Instagram bio. If you believe something is worth it, you don't give up. It was the confirmation Amelia needed. Chloe wasn't some naive girl swept up in a fantasy. She was a fighter. She had a goal, Mark, and she wasn't going to back down. Amelia stood up, a clear signal the interview was over. Chloe stood up quickly, her heart pounding. Had she messed up? Had she said the wrong thing? Amelia circled the desk, her presence filling the room. She stopped directly in front of Chloe. Close enough that Chloe could smell the expensive, subtle scent of her perfume. It smelled like power. You are very impressive, Chloe, Amelia said, her voice dropping to a confidential tone. You're hungry, you're talented, and you're not afraid to fight for what you want. I like that. She held out a hand. The job is yours. We can offer you a salary 60% higher than your current freelance rate, full benefits, and a significant signing bonus. We'd need you to start Monday. Chloe was speechless. She hadn't even discussed salary yet. It was an offer beyond her wildest dreams. The money, the prestige, the job itself. It was everything she had been working for. All her doubts vanished, replaced by a wave of triumphant euphoria. Yes, she stammered, shaking Amelia's hand. Amelia's grip was firm, cold, and lingered for a moment too long. Absolutely yes. Thank you, Mrs. Rose. Thank you so much. You won't regret it. Amelia finally allowed herself a small, tight smile. It didn't reach her eyes. Her eyes were cold, calculating, and held the glint of something terrifying. Oh, I know I won't, she said softly, as Chloe practically floated out of the office, giddy with success. Amelia remained standing by the glass wall. She watched the young woman's back until she disappeared down the hallway. She had done it. The vixen was now in the henhouse, but the farmer was waiting with the keys to the cage. The first part of her plan was complete. Now the real torture could begin. She rested a hand on her belly, a silent promise to her child. The game had started, and she was about to discover just how loyal and dedicated Chloe Fuentes really was, not only to her new job, but to her husband. Part 3. The Golden Cage. Chloe's first week at Aurora was a dizzying whirlwind of new systems, new colleagues, and the intoxicating thrill of legitimacy. The office was even more impressive from the inside. She had her own spacious cubicle, complete with a brand new state-of-the-art computer. Her colleagues were smart, stylish, and welcoming. And the salary, her first paycheck landed in her account that Friday. A figure so substantial, it made her feel lightheaded. This was it. This was the life she was meant to live. Her boss, Amelia Rose, was an enigma. She was brilliant, demanding, and possessed an almost supernatural attention to detail. In meetings, she could dissect a campaign concept with surgical precision, her insights leaving everyone in the room scrambling to take notes. Chloe was in awe of her. She was also in awe of the sheer, unbridled power Amelia radiated. Amelia's management style was a masterclass in psychological warfare disguised as corporate rigor. On Chloe's very first day, Amelia assigned her to a major new client, a high-end Swiss watchmaker. It was a huge vote of confidence, and Chloe was determined to prove her worth. She poured her heart and soul into the initial branding concepts, working late into the night, fueled by ambition and takeout coffee. She presented her work to Amelia on Wednesday afternoon. Her hands trembled slightly as she walked her new boss through the sleek, sophisticated designs. Amelia listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When Chloe finished, she stared at the presentation on the screen for a long, agonizing minute. "It's competent," Amelia said finally, the word landing like a slap. "But it has no soul, Chloe. It feels generic. It's what anyone would do. I hired you because I thought you were exceptional, not competent." She pointed to a specific font Chloe had chosen. "This font is too soft. It suggests a lack of conviction. Start over. I want to see something with more conviction by Friday morning." Chloe was crushed. She had thought the designs were her best work, but she nodded meekly, gathered her things, and walked back to her desk, her face burning with humiliation. She spent the next 36 hours in a frenzied caffeine haze, redesigning the entire campaign from scratch. Meanwhile, Amelia watched. From her glass-walled office, she had a clear view of the entire floor. She saw Chloe's shoulders slump, saw her rub her tired eyes, and felt a grim, satisfying twist in her stomach. This was just the beginning. The torment was in the details. Amelia would casually walk by Chloe's desk while Chloe was on a furtive, whispered phone call, presumably with Mark. Amelia wouldn't break her stride, but her presence was enough to make Chloe stammer and hang up quickly. One afternoon, Amelia called Chloe into her office. "I have a personal favor to ask you," she said, her tone making it clear it was not a request. "My husband's firm is holding a charity gala next month. We're handling the marketing pro bono. I need a stunning invitation, something classic and elegant." Chloe's blood ran to ice. Her husband. She had to design an invitation for an event hosted by her lover's firm for her lover's wife. The irony was so thick it was suffocating. "Of course, Mrs. Rose," she managed to say. "His name is Mark Hughes," Amelia continued, watching Chloe's face for the slightest flicker of recognition. "He's a senior vice president at Sterling Capital. Perhaps you've heard of him." Chloe's heart hammered in her chest. She forced a neutral expression, an ability she was quickly learning was essential for surviving at Aurora. "I don't believe so, but I'll get on it right away." "Good," Amelia said, turning back to her computer. "He's very particular. He'll want to see the proofs himself." The lie was flawless. Mark had never looked at a proof in his life, but it was the perfect excuse to create a pressure cooker. Mark's life was becoming increasingly fraught. The affair, which had once been an exciting escape, was now a source of stress. Chloe was no longer the carefree, adventurous woman who had attracted him. She was constantly exhausted and on edge. "My boss is a nightmare," she complained during a hurried secret dinner. "She's a taskmaster, a perfectionist. She made me redo an entire campaign because she didn't like the font's conviction." "Then quit," Mark said exasperatedly. "You don't need this job, Chloe." "Quit, Mark? Are you crazy? This is Aurora. The money is incredible and the name on my resume is priceless. I just have to tough it out. The worst part is her husband is a client, and I have to design this whole gala invitation for them. It's so awkward." Mark nearly choked on his wine. Her husband. She's married? Of course she's married. She's massively pregnant, for God's sake. I feel so bad for the guy, honestly. He must be impossible to live with. A cold dread invaded Mark. A pregnant wife named Amelia. A husband whose firm was a client. It couldn't be. The odds were astronomical. He felt a desperate need to know his lover's boss's last name. "What's her name?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "Amelia. I don't know her last name. Everyone just calls her Amelia or the CEO," Chloe replied, oblivious. "Anyway, I have to go. I have to pull an all-nighter to get this gala design perfect for Mark Hughes." The name hit him like a physical blow. Mark Hughes. She had said his name. He stared at her, his mind racing, connecting the dots with a sickening speed. Amelia Rose. Aurora. Pregnant. Her firm. His name. It was not a coincidence. His wife had hired his mistress. The realization did not come with an explosion, but a horrible, silent implosion. He felt the floor drop out from under him. This wasn't bad luck. This was a plan. A deliberate, calculated, and psychopathic plan. His brilliant, strategic wife, the woman he had underestimated, was playing a game so complex he couldn't even see the board. He looked at Chloe across the table, who was reapplying her lipstick, complaining about kerning and paper stock. She had no idea. She was a lamb being led to a slaughter she couldn't even conceive of, and he was trapped. What could he do? If he told Chloe, she would confront Amelia and the fallout would be catastrophic. If he confronted Amelia, she held all the cards. She could ruin him not just personally, but professionally. His wife wasn't just angry. She was dismantling his life piece by piece from the inside, and she was using his own mistress as a tool. The next few weeks were a living hell for Chloe and Mark. Amelia's cruelty became more refined. She would schedule last-minute emergency meetings on Friday nights, forcing Chloe to cancel plans with Mark. She would praise Chloe's work in front of the whole team, only to eviscerate it privately moments later. The ultimate twist of the knife came on a Tuesday afternoon. Amelia called Chloe on the intercom. "Chloe, could you come in for a moment?" When Chloe walked into the office, Amelia was on speakerphone. "So I'll see you there around 7:30, babe," Amelia was saying. "I love you." "I love you too, Ames," Mark's voice answered from the speakerphone, a voice Chloe knew intimately. Chloe froze. Her blood turned to ice water. That voice was Mark's. There was no mistake. Ames. That was his pet name for his wife. Amelia hung up the phone and looked at Chloe, a picture of innocence. "Sorry, my husband," she said with a warm, wifely smile. "He can be a bit needy. Now, about the banner ads for the Sterling Capital Gala." Chloe was rooted to the spot, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and horror. The CEO's wife was named Amelia. The CEO's wife's pet name was Ames. The CEO's wife was the pregnant, terrifying, brilliant woman, making her life a living hell. It all crashed down on her at once. The coincidence, the strangely personal questions in the interview, the constant pressure, the impossible demands, the overheard phone call. This was not a job. This was a prison, a gilded cage she had walked into so gleefully. She looked at Amelia. She really looked at her for the first time. The cold, evaluating gaze, the slight, knowing curve of her lip, the hand resting possessively on her belly. This was not a boss. This was a woman who knew everything, and in that moment, Chloe Fuentes understood she was not a participant in an affair. She was a character in a revenge plot, and the protagonist, the writer, and the director was the formidable, terrifying woman sitting right in front of her. The fear she felt was profound, a primal terror that went far beyond losing a job. She had vastly and catastrophically underestimated her enemy. What would you do in Chloe's shoes? Would you try to run, or would you face the truth? Let us know in the comments below. Part 4. The game changes. The revelation shattered Chloe's world. The office, once a symbol of her success, now felt like a panopticon. A prison where the warden watched her every move with knowing, vengeful eyes. Every task, every email, every casual comment from Amelia was now loaded with a terrifying subtext. A request to fetch coffee was a test of her subservience. Praise for her work was a cruel joke. Criticism was a direct personal attack. Chloe began to unravel. Her sleek ambition frayed into pure paranoia. She saw conspiracies everywhere. When a file on her computer was accidentally deleted by an IT glitch, she was convinced Amelia was behind it. When she was given the tedious task of archiving thousands of old image files, she saw it as a punishment. She began making mistakes, simple typos and important deadlines that were missed by a few hours. Her work, once her pride, began to suffer under the weight of her psychological torment. Her clandestine meetings with Mark became tense with a new kind of desperation. She knows Mark. She knows everything, Chloe hissed, huddled in a noisy, anonymous bar, far from any of their usual haunts. She called you on speakerphone right in front of me. She called you babe, and you called her Ames. Mark, who had been living with this awful knowledge for weeks, feigned surprise. What? No, you must have misheard. There are lots of guys named Mark. It was a weak, pathetic defense, and he knew it. But admitting he already knew would expose his cowardice, his complicity, and her suffering. Don't lie to me. Chloe's voice broke, tears welling in her eyes. Her name is Amelia Rose. Your wife's name is Amelia. She's the CEO of Aurora. This has all been a game. She's been torturing me, and you just let it happen. I didn't know, I swear. He lied, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. Chloe, you have to quit. Now. Just walk away from all this. And where do I go? She shot back, her fear turning to anger. She'll ruin me, Mark. She's connected to everyone in this city. If I just quit, she could have me blacklisted. I'll never work in this city again. You have to do something. You have to face her. Fix this. Fix this? Mark felt a surge of rage and panic. You're the one who started seeing a married man. I'm the one with a wife who's orchestrating some kind of Machiavellian revenge plot. We are way past fixing this. The argument devolved into angry, low whispers, lost in the din of the bar. Their affair, once a secret, passionate escape, had become a toxic, claustrophobic trap. And Amelia was the one holding the key. Meanwhile, Amelia had her own observer. Her best friend, Eleanor, a sharp-witted corporate lawyer, had watched Amelia's transformation with growing alarm. She sat in Amelia's living room, surrounded by baby shower gifts, her expression one of deep concern. Ames, this has gone on long enough, Eleanor said, her voice soft but firm. I get it. He betrayed you. You wanted revenge. You hired the mistress. It's the plot of a crazy movie. But you are 8 months pregnant. You're toying with this girl. You're running yourself ragged with stress. And for what? To prove a point you've already won. You have all the proof you need to divorce him and take him for everything he's worth. Amelia calmly folded a tiny baby bodysuit, her movements deliberate. It's not about the money, Elle. And it's not about proving a point. It's about control. He took away my control. He made me a victim. I'm taking it back. I need to see this through to the end. And what's the end? Eleanor pressed. What's your goal here? You humiliate them both, and then what? You still have a baby with this man. This level of vengeance scars everyone, including you. I'm not the one who will be scarred, Amelia said, her voice dropping to an unsettling calm. I'm the one holding the scalpel. But even Amelia was beginning to feel the strain. The constant performance was exhausting. The rage, which had once been a motivating, fiery fuel, had cooled into a heavy, cold stone in her chest. She wanted it to be over, but she couldn't simply fire Chloe and divorce Mark. It felt too simple, too anticlimactic. She needed a finale. She needed a checkmate. And then a new twist emerged, one that even Amelia, in her meticulous planning, couldn't have anticipated. It was a discovery that would change the very nature of the game. Amelia had asked Chloe to consolidate all the files for the watch client's account onto a single external hard drive for a client review. It was another busy work task designed to keep Chloe occupied and stressed. That night, after Chloe had gone home, pale and drawn, Amelia took the hard drive into her office. She wasn't reviewing Chloe's work. She was looking for something else. A tell. The strategist in her wanted to know if Chloe had been careless, if she had left any personal files on the drive. She plugged it into her computer, deep inside a folder of stock images mislabeled textures. There was a hidden folder. Its name was M.H. Finances. Amelia's breath caught. M.H. Mark Hughes. With trembling fingers, she opened it. It wasn't just a few files. It was a treasure trove of corporate espionage. There were screenshots of Mark's private emails, scans of documents from his desk at Sterling Capital, detailed spreadsheets analyzing his stock portfolio, his bonuses, even the projected value of his inheritance from his parents. But it was the final subfolder that made Amelia's blood run cold. It was labeled Divorce Scenarios. Inside were a series of documents modeling possible divorce settlements. There were calculations based on infidelity clauses, asset division in their state, and even speculative valuations of how much Amelia's company was worth. Now, Chloe hadn't just been sleeping with her husband. She had been systematically researching his wealth, planning for the eventual breakup and her subsequent payday. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a meticulously planned heist. The realization hit Amelia with the force of a physical blow. She had seen Chloe as a rival for her husband's affection, a homewrecker. But she was wrong. Chloe Fuentes was not just a mistress. She was a predator, a con artist who had targeted Mark, probably seeing him as an easy mark. The affair wasn't the goal. It was the leverage. Suddenly, the entire narrative shifted. This was no longer just about a husband's betrayal. It was about an attack on her family, her finances, her legacy, and the future security of her unborn child. Chloe wasn't a love-struck girl who deserved pity or even a simple, straightforward vengeance. She was a calculating adversary who needed to be neutralized. A new, fierce energy surged through Amelia. The exhaustion vanished, replaced by a cold, sharpened fury. Her plan had been about emotional revenge, about reclaiming her power. Now it was about something far more primary: protection. She looked at the evidence on the screen. Chloe had been using Aurora's resources, its computers, its servers, to carry out this corporate espionage. She had been building a case against Mark while on Amelia's payroll. this wasn't just infidelity. It was grounds for a lawsuit. It was a weapon. Eleanor's words echoed in her head. "What's your goal here?" Now Amelia knew. The goal was not going to be just a confrontation. It was going to be an annihilation. She had the means to destroy not only her husband's affair, but the mistress herself, professionally and legally. She carefully copied the entire MH Finances folder onto her own secure server, a digital smoking gun. Then she deleted the original from the hard drive, leaving no trace of her discovery. She leaned back in her chair, a chillingly serene smile gracing her lips for the first time in months. The game had changed. The stakes were higher, and her path forward was brutally clear. The launch party for the Swiss watch client was in 2 weeks. It would be held at a sleek art gallery downtown. It was the perfect stage. Everyone would be there. Her team, her clients, the city's media, and, of course, her supportive husband, Mark, would be by her side. And the lead designer on the project, Chloe Fuentes, would be in charge of the presentation. It was time to plan the grand finale. Part 5. The night of the Kronos launch party was electric. The art gallery buzzed with the soft murmur of influential people, journalists, industry titans, and Aurora's most valuable clients. All of them sipping champagne and admiring the elegant watch displays. The event was the culmination of months of work, a testament to Aurora's prowess, and a personal triumph for Amelia. She moved through the crowd, a radiant, formidable queen in her own court. She wore a deep emerald evening gown, tailored to elegantly drape her 8.5-month pregnant figure. She didn't look tired or strained. She looked powerful, regal. By her side, playing his part, was Mark. He looked handsome in his tailored suit, but a keen observer would notice the tension in his jaw, the sweat on his brow. He knew something was coming. The air around his wife was too quiet, too charged. It was the unsettling stillness before a lightning strike. Across the room, Chloe Fuentes was a bundle of nerves. She wore a somber black dress, trying to look professional, but her hands trembled as she went over the presentation on a laptop behind the main stage. This party was supposed to be her crowning achievement, the moment her hard work on the Kronos account would pay off. Instead, it felt like her own execution. For weeks she had been trapped, working under the terrifying gaze of the woman she had wronged, forced to interact with her, to take orders, to even design the very invitations for this event that now felt like a stage for her own humiliation. Her plan to secure a comfortable future by leveraging Mark had failed spectacularly, leaving her in a psychological prison. All she wanted was for this night to be over. Amelia had set the stage with the precision of a master director. She had given Chloe a pivotal role, not only running the main presentation, but also curating a behind-the-scenes digital exhibit that would play on screens throughout the venue. She had also, 2 days prior, orchestrated a masterful piece of misinformation. During a casual conversation with another senior staff member, loud enough for Chloe to overhear, Amelia had mentioned a last-minute massive investment deal Mark's firm, Sterling Capital, was making in Kronos, contingent on the success of the launch. She mentioned a 7-figure success bonus for Mark personally. It was a complete fabrication, but it was the perfect bait. For a grifter like Chloe, the thought of Mark receiving a huge, immediate cash windfall would be an irresistible lure, making her feel even more desperate about her precarious position. The main presentation began. The lights dimmed. Chloe, from her post at the back, initiated the slideshow. Images of stunning watches and evocative lifestyle shots filled the giant stage screen. The presentation was flawless, a testament to Chloe's talent, even under duress. When it concluded, the room erupted in applause. The CEO of Kronos gave a brief, effusive speech praising Aurora and its brilliant team. Then he introduced the woman of the hour. And now I would like to welcome the visionary behind this entire campaign, the CEO of Aurora, Amelia Rose. Amelia walked onto the stage, a picture of grace and power. The applause swelled. Mark watched from the front row, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. This was it. "Thank you, everyone," Amelia began, her voice resonating with warmth and authority. "Thank you, Jean-Pierre, for your trust in us. At Aurora, we believe a brand isn't just a product, it's a story. It's about heritage, integrity, and most importantly, it's about trust." She paused, letting the word trust hang in the air. She smiled a brilliant, dazzling smile that didn't reach her cold, focused eyes. "Building something of lasting value," she continued, "whether it's a brand or a life, requires an unwavering commitment to that trust. But sometimes, that trust is broken. Sometimes, the story you believe you're living is revealed to be a complete fiction." A confused murmur spread through the audience. This was not the standard corporate thank you speech. Mark felt the blood drain from his face. He wanted to get up, to run, but he was frozen in his seat. "Tonight we've celebrated a story of precision, elegance, and legacy," Amelia said, her voice taking on a sharper tone. "But I want to share another story, a more personal one. It's a case study, if you will, in brand demolition." She gestured to the large screen behind her. The Kronos logo faded. In its place, an image appeared. It was a screenshot of a text message. "Chloe, can't stop thinking about last night. Your skin against mine." Gasps rippled through the gallery. Chloe, in the back of the room, felt the world tilt on its axis. Her presentation remote fell from her nerveless fingers. This couldn't be happening. "This is a message sent to my husband, Mark Hughes," Amelia announced, her voice as clear as a bell. "From one of my employees." Another image flashed onto the screen. It was the smiling, ambitious face of Chloe from her LinkedIn profile. The audience turned as one, looking for her. Chloe cowered in the shadows, her face a mask of pure horror. "My husband," Amelia said, slowly turning her gaze to lock on Mark's. "The man standing beside me, building a life with me, waiting for the birth of our first child." Mark stared back at her, his expression one of utter ruin. He was exposed, flayed open in front of his colleagues, his clients, the world. "But this story has another twist," Amelia continued, her voice hardening. "Because I discovered this wasn't just a simple, sordid affair. This was a business transaction." The screen changed again. It now showed the files from Chloe's hidden folder. Spreadsheets titled MH Finances. Documents titled Divorce Scenarios, a detailed analysis of Sterling Capital's bonus structure. "You see?" Amelia explained calmly, as if delivering a standard marketing report. "My employee, Ms. Chloe Fuentes, wasn't just sleeping with my husband. She was using my company's resources to carry out an exhaustive financial investigation on him. She was planning to leverage their affair into a lucrative divorce settlement. It was a hostile takeover of my life, executed on my time, and with my dime." The room was completely silent now, a tomb of shocked faces. All eyes were on Amelia, this heavily pregnant woman standing on a stage, calmly and methodically dismantling two lives with damning evidence on a 20-foot screen. Finally, she turned her attention to the back of the room, her voice laced with ice. "Chloe, you once told me in your interview that loyalty was about honoring the faith someone places in you. You told me you fight for what you want. I suppose I should thank you for showing me exactly what you think is worth fighting for." She looked back at the crowd. "Security," she said, her voice ringing with finality. "Please escort Ms. Fuentes from the premises. Her employment with Aurora, of course, has been terminated. We will be pursuing legal action for corporate espionage and theft of intellectual property." The burly security guards began to move towards the back of the room, where Chloe, paralyzed, was now sobbing. Then Amelia's gaze settled on her husband one last time. The look she gave him was not one of rage, but of cold, dismissive finality. It was the look you would give a stranger, a mistake that had been erased. "And as for you, Mark," she said, her voice dropping but audible to everyone in the stunned silence, "consider this your notice. You'll be hearing from my lawyer." She gestured to her friend in the front row. "Eleanor, you know what to do." With that, Amelia Rose, CEO, wife, and mother-to-be, turned away from the wreckage she had wrought. She rested a hand on her belly and walked off the stage, leaving behind a tableau of ruin and the deafening sound of silence. The grand finale was over. Checkmate. Part 6. A Queen's Legacy. In the aftermath of what the city's gossip columns dubbed the Gala of Annihilation, the lives of Mark Hughes and Chloe Fuentes were irrevocably shattered. Mark was fired from Sterling Capital within a week. His reputation in the high-stakes world of finance was reduced to cinders. The public humiliation was absolute. Chloe Fuentes disappeared. Faced with a lawsuit from Aurora and complete professional ostracization, she vanished from the city. Her name became a cautionary tale whispered in marketing agencies and bars. Amelia, however, did not collapse. The divorce was swift and brutal, with the evidence from the gala making any dispute on Mark's part impossible. She was granted a settlement that secured her and her child's future tenfold. 3 weeks after the gamble, she gave birth to a healthy, beautiful baby girl. She named her Sophia, which means wisdom. 6 months later, Amelia stood on the balcony of her penthouse. The city stretched out before her, no longer just a symbol of her ambition, but a testament to her resilience. In her arms, Sophia cooed happily, her tiny hand wrapped around Amelia's finger. Aurora was more successful than ever, with clients clamoring to be represented by the woman who had shown such a stunning strategic mastery. She was a single mother, yes, but she was not broken. She had been betrayed, but she was not a victim. She had taken the shattered pieces of her perfect life and used them to build a new foundation, stronger and more authentic than before. The cold fire of vengeance had been extinguished, replaced by the fierce, warm glow of a mother's love and the quiet confidence of a woman who had faced the ultimate betrayal and had not only survived, but emerged victorious on her own terms. The story was not a tragedy of a scorned wife. It was the origin story of a queen who had built her own throne. Interactive questions. Amelia's story is a powerful reminder that the deepest betrayals can come from the people we trust most, but it's also a tale of incredible strength. What do you think? Was Amelia a strategic genius who delivered a deserved punishment, or did her pursuit of vengeance go too far? Would you ever be able to do what she did? Share your thoughts below. If this story of real-life drama and incredible twists has captivated you, please give this video a like and share it with someone who would appreciate a story of ultimate revenge. Most importantly, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We have many more incredible true stories to share with you, and you won't want to miss a single one. Thanks for listening.